Prof, I think, for the information. And we hope soon we'll be getting the results. We promised that towards the end of this month, beginning in November, possibly we'll be getting our, our feedback on the information that we provided to the Statistics South Africa. Coming to the offering from my side, or the DBE, on the calculation of DBE indicators. One, maybe would like to kind of give a background to the function of the Chief Directorate or the Directorate Research Coordination Monitoring Evaluation, where we are responsible for most of the reporting in the department, particularly producing indicator values for most of the indicators in the department, even collating some of the information from program managers. But we do a lot of analysis, data analysis and calculations. If it is about sports and enrichment directorate, we always ensure that whenever we report, we want to check where they get the data, and then we kind of agree to say this is the figure that we're going out. On the National School Nutrition Program as well, we work with them, looking at the numbers and we show that we are reporting from the same page in terms of the figures. So we kind of also do the quality assurance, of what goes out to the public from the department. Although it's not all time wherein all the information is coming through us, but we are moving towards a situation where we have the same exit point of information, that when we are giving the contradictory figures and information to the public and to all the stakeholders. So the other thing is we are also responsible for research, where we are moving, the department is moving towards a situation where we don't see branches. I think we are having 6 branches, commissioning or undertaking other small or large-scale research without maybe the knowledge of the research coordination and monitoring. So we are trying to kind of rationalize, those activities so that, we have a common approach when coming to the information that we require in the department and how we should collect that particular information. So we are also responsible for that. Currently, we are very much strong again in terms of developing the instruments for collecting data, and Tabitha and the team, they are responsible for that in terms of ensuring that when you put out a tool, the way you ask the question, it will be the same as someone else in another branch, so that we can collect the same information. So, for example, we're looking at information on the question about distribution of textbooks, and then someone responded by indicating the percentage of learners who access textbooks. So there's a difference between distribution and access. So basically, there's a need for us to say, if ever we're going out to look for the information on distribution, our question must be relevant to the issue of distribution, not access. So when it's about access to workbooks and textbooks, it should be about access, not really confusing the two, where you end up not knowing, you have information and you're stuck, can I report on this information or what do I do with it? Anyway, let me come to basically to the part on the calculation of DBE indicators. Like I said, we report mainly on the education for all, as South Africa is a member state to UNESCO, and hence education for all, where on a yearly basis, on annual basis, we give an update on the 6 goals of 8A. And then we also report on the Millennium Development Goals country report. I happen to be the chairperson of the Secretarial Working Group on MDG 2, which is universal achievement of universal education, particularly on primary and gender. So we club them together, goal 2 and 3, they are together, and I'm chairing that with the members from higher education institutions, Department of Women, Children and People with Disabilities, and Status A, and non-governmental organizations. So we kind of report on a quarterly basis to the National Coordinating Committee that is comprised of DDGs of different ministries in the country. So whenever we do those calculations, we should have a framework under which we report on that, and we have consensus to say, this is the figure that we're giving out. Otherwise, we find that the NGOs will come with their own way of doing things, because they say, no, they work with this on a daily basis. As the public servants, you do not understand, you are always having a helicopter view. We have the touch with the grassroots and with the communities, but we always find our way to say, this is the framework under which we need to operate from. So my presentation will look at the difference between a measure and an indicator, and it will be more interactive. I will love us to, I hope you didn't look at the slides and the handouts that we have given you. So don't look at it for now, because I want to ask you a question between the difference between this one.
Well, the moment you said that, everybody started to.
Yeah, the basic principles for developing indicators are, Mr. Babaten was talking about the usefulness as, the ultimate way to, but I think we need to be guided on how do we really arrive at, a very indicator that we can say is measurable. And then the sector indicator specifications, what are the elements that we need to look at for us to have a common understanding? Because if your understanding of gross enrollment rate is different from mine, so basically you will always provide a different figure from the figure that I will be putting forward. The methods of calculating sector indicators. These are some of the things that I just picked up because this is very important. For example, particularly when coming to the measurement of gender parity index, people will say in South Africa, in terms of the population, there are more females than males. So how do we arrive at gender parity index? Even in school, we have more female learners than, how do you calculate the gender parity index, for example? So this is some of the things that, we need to kind of, take you through, and then we have common understanding. So, and even the data elements for basic education sector. Before I open the third slide, can someone tell me the difference between a measure and an indicator? So particularly people from the provincial education departments, they know performance measure. So I want to know, let me call it a performance measure and a performance indicator. What is the difference? So there are some people that I know that I would just say, Druza, can you please assist? Mr. Lebibi, can you assist? What is the difference between performance measure and a performance indicator? You didn't look at my, I think you can come up with something. Riyadh, what is the difference between the two?
There is a difference.
Yes, and what is it?
I would say both of them you can, in some sort of way, link to a strategic objective goal, and that maybe an indicator follows a measure. That you first get some sort of performance measure, and for you to be able to measure that, you need to have some sort of performance indicator.
Okay. Lepo.
Well, let me start by saying an indicator is a subset of a measure. Why am I saying like this? Is that a measure is brought to say, I want you to measure me by the training that I'll be conducting to educators on CAPS. But if I want to be specific in terms of an indicator, which will show you how do I be measured to be sure that I really do it. You'll be, the indicator will be seen by the number of educators that I would have trained in CAPS in that particular time frame, where we'll be talking whether it's annual or quarterly.
Okay. I like the statement that you made when Olivia was making a presentation to say, a simple question can be a very difficult question. And I think we are grappling with the same thing, you know, between the performance measure, because we talk about performance measure almost on a daily basis, and an indicator, but now I can see, you know, when I say, give me the difference. So, all right, in terms of the planning framework document from National Treasury, you know, a performance measure is a variable or an indicator that takes on past and future values, where past values reflect achievements and future values reflect performance targets. Basically, this definition is coming from the way the National Treasury put, you know, their templates of reporting, where, you know, provincial people will know this, and I think, you know, the strategy people as well, that for the past 3 years you must indicate the audited figures and the estimate for the current year and the targets for the next 3 years. Hence, I think is Babatunde was saying, you know, we don't stop in terms of planning. You know, every time we are doing planning and reporting in government, when he was presenting the reporting cycle of government. Basically, you know, if one can say, is that, you know, this performance measure is crafted and based on what you want to see, you know, in terms of reporting, what you have achieved in the past 3 years, the current year, and the coming year. This is how they put it together. So when I was looking at the, you know, the planning framework, they indicate that performance measures are used to quantify achievement of measurable objectives. Hence, I'm saying there's MOs. You know, in the provinces we talk about MOs, measurable objectives. And then they also, you know, tell us what goods and services budget, the budget funds has bought, and then what progress government has made with regards to the goals and the objectives, and then whether government is getting the value for money that they are putting for service delivery. And then, you know, and the performance measure with good data will always measure the essence of program performance than an overflow of data and numerous measures. Basically, you know, that is, you know, it depends on how you want to read it. But, you know, basically, when you look at the National Treasury documents, their main focus is on budget and funds. And then, you know, hence I was raising the issue of saying, whenever you are reporting to National Treasury in particular, and the Auditor General, they want to say, of the 120 billion that has been given to the Department of Basic Education, how much has been used for what? And then hence they refer to the issue of performance measure. And then coming to the indicators, you know, when you look at particularly the World Bank documents and you know, information from World Bank, they talk about the same thing if you are reading the performance measure, because, you know, they talk about the issue of saying the indicators are as well the variable that is used to look at the performance of you know, a particular you know, goal. How did the organization or a unit perform towards, you know, achieving the objectives of that particular program or intervention? So basically, you know, it is, you know, a way of trying to look at whether there's been an improvement in the lives of the target population. For example, if you are having National School Nutrition Program, you want to see, you know, to track if our objectives is to ensure that learners are improving in terms of you know, their numeracy or literacy, or learners are coming to school and then we are retaining them as well. We want to use the indicators to say, of the learners who are receiving you know, school nutrition program or benefiting, how many of them have improved from, you know, attending school, in terms of attendance of schools, in terms of, you know, the learning and in school. You want to use the indicators to arrive at that. So, you know, they indicate that it's a unit of information measured over time that can help us show changes in a specific condition. Like I indicated, that you want to see that if ever you are saying, you know, we have a problem of overweight, you want to see if your sports programs are also ensuring that learners are also participating, are becoming fit, and moving towards being lean or something. So you want to see whether your intervention, your program, it is having an impact on the target population or target groups. So maybe before I come to the what indicators can tell us, I just want to conclude by saying the difference between an indicator and a performance measure, that there's no difference. We are talking about the same thing. Basically, if you look at the planning framework from National Treasury, they talk about performance measure as the subheading. But when you look at the narrative, they talk about performance indicator. They talk about indicators. This, they use the word performance measure and performance indicator interchangeably. So it's the same thing. So there was a time that we sat down with the provincial education officials about the issue of terminology. And then we agreed that, okay, because we are not reaching consensus on the difference between the two, let us agree that a measure is when you're using a number, and an indicator is when you're using a percentage. So we managed to reach consensus. But basically, there's no difference. The performance measure and the indicator is the same thing. It's about the measurement or trying to see if ever there's been a change. Because the National Treasury, they were saying, look, we want to see performance measure. And when you're talking about indicators, no, you have to begin to confuse us again now. And anyway, hence, people, I think, you have seen in the latter years, from 2009, 10, and 11, we are using more numbers. When you report to the National Treasury, you can't just go to them and say 98% of learners in the country have access to the workbooks. They said, no, what are you talking about? You must tell them in terms of the numbers, to say we're talking about 8 million learners. That's where they will start to understand you. So anyway, but what I'm saying is that there's no difference. You can look at any text book or any resource. You will find that the performance measure and the performance indicator, or a measure and an indicator, is one and the same thing. So basically, what does really the indicators tell us? The indicators cannot tell us anything. And there was a statement that was once said that statistics always do not tell us a lot. They tell us what is important, but they always do not give us the most critical information. Because when you look at the learner-educator ratio, for example, in the country we are talking about 32.1 to 1. We're saying 32 learners to 1 educator. But once you visit a school, you will realize that there's a class that is having 70 learners to 1 teacher. So basically, there is that where you need to also use the quantitative information to also make a very good conclusion on the phenomenon that one is looking at. And then they tell us only what can be measured. For example, when you look at, you want to see the difference between a learner who has been put in a program for school nutrition. You can't conclusively say that a learner has the learning or the performance of a learner in a test or in an exam or in an analysis has improved because a learner was participating in the National School Nutrition Program. Unless possibly you have a baseline where, or you are using a randomized sampling where you put a control of a certain group, and then you want to see between those who are in the program and those who are not in the program, what was their marks before they are in the program, and you see the performance. That's where you can conclude. Hence, they always say you can't really say indicator when you're saying learners are improving because they are. You can't conclusively say with confidence. You can say our intervention are working, and unless you collect information quantitatively, and then you can have a background to say this is what is causing this improvement in a particular performance of a learner. They are also they cannot even measure everything, and then sometimes we also use the proxy indicators where You know, you can't find for example, currently we are trying to check the subject content or subject content knowledge of the teachers. So if you don't have information on what is happening in the class, what do? We always use the qualification of teachers to say our teachers are qualified, they meet the criteria, and then we hope what they are providing in the class is tantamount to, you know, to the quality that we are expecting to happen. But unless you go to the class and see, you know, the way in which the teacher is teaching, you can't say, you know, the person is providing a quality education or is qualified, hence the person will also provide quality education. You need also to have information about what happens in the class. But, you know, usually we use the proxy, that a teacher is qualified, he has a 4-year degree or a diploma, and then the person can provide a quality education. That is a proxy to provision of a quality education. There are many proxies that we usually use whenever the information, we don't have information. And there's a statement to say it's better, you know, to be approximately correct than to be precisely wrong, you know. So it's better to say, you know, something is happening because our teachers are qualified, than to say, you know, very well, we are 100% sure that, you know, our teachers are qualified, hence they will provide a good, you know, learning and teaching in schools. I'm providing this so that whenever we come to the how do we calculate the indicators, we have a sense about where does the issue of indicators stands, so that, you know, we won't just go straight into what is the GPI and you said how did this come from and stuff like that. So types of indicators, we have simple qualitative indicators, like I said, number of learners who are benefiting from the novice school. That is some of the simple quantitative to say. Of the 12 million learners, we have 8 million who are benefiting from, that give us around 69% of the learners in total. And then complex quantitative indicators. These are indicators like the human development indicators, where you take combination of, you know, level of education, the economic and stuff like that, and you put it together to develop an index to say this is where we're having at the human development index. For example, how do we measure the orphans and vulnerable children? You know, usually you must look at the context of the background, the context, and then you arrive at an index to say this learner we can categorize under the OPC, orphans and vulnerable child. There's a proxy indicators like I indicated, the issue of qualification of teachers. That is where I think we usually use the proxy indicators to say a person is qualified. We hope that you know the teacher can provide a quality teaching, and then qualitative open-ended questions. We know this in terms of, you know, the questionnaire, you know, the yes and no, and then the quantitative forecast, you know. So the open-ended is, for example, you want to know, you know, for example, there's a goal about satisfaction of principals with the support that they are receiving from the district. You can have a qualitative open-ended where you are saying, how satisfied, rather than when you are saying, are you satisfied, yes or no. With the visit, for example, from the district, you never know, I'm satisfied because the person from the district is my friend, so I'm satisfied with him coming and see me. But when you put it as open-ended, you say, are you satisfied? You provide the motivation for that. It's an open-ended, and you need to ensure that whenever you report on that, because when you send it to 100 principals, they will give you different views on that one. So it's qualitative, open-ended, and qualitative forecast where you just say yes or no. Are you happy? Yes or no. You don't have to motivate why. And they just say no, I'm not happy, even if what you receive is satisfactory. So, but this is some of the indicators that, you know, where you also look at whenever you are working with indicators and calculating these indicators. And hence there are also softwares that has been developed to deal with qualitative information, and then you kind of work out on how to report on these. Levels of indicators, we have indicators that look at the individual performance. You know, we want to look at, you know, a particular unit to say, you know, is your contribution in achieving the quality education. What is your contribution? You want to look at that individual or you know, the person. You can go down, for example, look at the performance of a teacher, you know, the performance of the principal. That is the individual performance. And the institutional is, for example, when you go and look at a school as a whole, for example, when you look at the institution as a whole, the department as a whole, to say, how is the, you know, the institution performing? And then the policy. When you look at the issue of the policy, for example, on the novice school, you need to look, is it making a difference? That is where you're also having the level of indicators at the policy level. The program level, you know, we are having many programs that we introduce in the department and at government-wide. You want to see, to also have indicators at that level, program level, and then the projects. There are also projects that we start to say, we want to have a project on a particular, as an intervention to a particular problem, and then you have the indicators on that. And at the system level, you know, to say, overall, as the education system, how are we really performing? And then you must develop the indicators based on that. And we always get our indicators from the sector plan. Currently, we have Action Plan 2014, and then the goals of the system, the schooling system in particular, or the education system, where we look at the issue of access, the equity, quality, and efficiency. There's also the issue of adequacy as well. And the project objectives of the project program of policy, that's where we derive our indicators and international goals, for example, the Education for All, Millennium Development Goals, and school effectiveness studies. So, for example, when, you know, we find maybe a research that is telling us, you know, there is maybe a performance of learners based on a particular intervention. So we want to also develop the indicator based on the information or the new information that has come forward to see what, how do we track that particular phenomenon going forward. And the framework for developing indicators, like I said, you know, basically when you develop indicators, you should be framed under something. You can't just say, now today I'm developing indicators. There are context indicators that look, for example, at the socioeconomic status and the background of learners. Input indicators, this is what has already been, I think, alluded to by the previous presenters regarding this, to say what are you putting into the system that you want to see, you know, the results of that. Hence, this is where I think National Treasury focuses on, to say, of the money that we're putting in, how much value are we getting, you know, and then the process indicators, this is focusing on the learning and teaching that is happening in the classroom, then the output. Like Babetini was saying, we always focus on the outcomes. Now we are expecting the annual results, and we are everybody, I think we are also looking forward to the metric results soon. So that is mostly our output indicators.